Okay, everybody, welcome to the Fleetwood Borough meeting for July 12th.
Thanks for asking.
We're
It
going
was
to do,
wonderful.
I
We'll do
understood
the-
what he was saying.
Gentlemen.
Not understanding.
thank
I
you.
got it worked out.
Do your gavel.
Okay, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance and go from there.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. We'll do the roll call first. Brian, will you go forward with that?
Okay, Suzanne Touch,
Here.
Pete Merkel,
Here.
Jim Meals,
Here.
Mark Watkins,
Mark, are you available? Okay,
Okay.
by phone.
Ralph Touch,
Here.
It's a little hard to hear you.
Colin Boyer,
I'm here.
John Rothenberger, is he calling it at all, or?
He's supposed to be, but he's not online.
Okay, Chief Stinsky,
Here.
Tammy Gore,
Here.
so, Andy George,
Here.
Chris Young,
Here.
Craig Conrad,
Here.
Bobby Widener, yep, and no Ryan Kern. And at this time, I'll ask if there's anybody recording the meeting tonight.
I'm recording.
Okay, thank you.
Let the record reflect that Colin is recording both video and audio.
Do you want me to record it for borough purposes? 'Cause this time we can, I'm on Zoom.
Certainly, and then for borough purposes, don't we?
But it's just for Doreen for the minute.
Right, that's fine.
This meeting is being recorded.
There you go.
Okay, then let's start with, Doreen, do you want to have, sir, do you want to sign in?
Oh, so-
Let's start with Chief Stinsky.
Good evening, everyone. With my vacation and the way the month fell and the electrical problems, I just emailed the police report out probably about an hour or so ago. Of the major things, the bigger things that we took care of here in the borough during the month of June, we were pretty busy that month. We investigated a domestic assault. We were actually asked to serve a PFA order, and when the woman came in, she was wearing big glasses and had a big black eye, so we initiated an assault investigation into that, and that is ongoing. We actually got a call to respond to a rental property here in the borough where somebody was allegedly holding a knife to someone's throat. We got there, found the place unoccupied, discovered it was likely a little overblown as to what exactly was going on at that time. We had a report of a burglary to a rental property in the borough. Once inside, the actor or actors engaged in some minor vandalism. They threw some food around on the floor, stuff like that. It turns out that it was likely a scorned lover, but there wasn't any evidence available to let us positively identify anybody. We did get a report of a person acting strangely at a Fleetwood business, and upon arrival, the police found the subject passed out behind the wheel of his car with his foot on the brake, and the engine was on, the vehicle was in reverse. So luckily no one got hurt. He was arrested and processed for DUI-related charges. We also had a Fleetwood Bank actually reached out to us for an elderly woman who made several withdrawals in excess of $20,000 from her Fleetwood Bank account. The investigation determined the woman was likely a victim of fraud, but she provided false information to us on several occasions and refused to cooperate with any investigation, even though we probably, had she been truthful with us in the beginning, we probably could have intercepted some of her money. And although it went to a place out of state, we likely could have identified and arrested the person from out of state, but she wants nothing to do with it. So we did coordinate with Office of Aging and make sure they're aware of her and any issues that she may have. We actually, all totaled, we got about 23 or so reports of various types of fraud throughout, anything from phone calls about Social Security, people who reported false unemployment compensation claims made in their name. Most of the people did a very good job and just didn't provide any information and hung up. but it is out there running rampant, so please watch out for everyone and make sure. We did have,
Chief, is there anything in particular that is, we're hearing again as far as the fraudulent calls?
it goes in spurts. You know, people are basically using like robo-dialers for whatever their flavor of fraud is. And when it comes to your area and that the phone exchanges, et cetera, that are in there, people start getting calls.
Okay.
All right, and then I'm really not sure, the unemployment compensation, that's starting to become more and more prevalent where people are being notified by their employers like, hey, why did you apply for unemployment benefits when you're still working? And people are saying, I didn't. So there's actually I think it's the Department of Revenue and the Attorney General's office, they actually have an ongoing thing. I'm not sure where they're getting the information to file the claims and then get the money, but that seems to be pretty prevalent here lately. That's the newest thing.
I actually have a couple of friends that happened to, and then the place of employment called and said, why did you apply for unemployment? Well, I didn't. So
Yeah, right. I spoke to a woman from Ruskin Manor Township who was notified by her boss that it happened to her, and I tried walking through like to see if there was any place where information was compromised that you couldn't know, any online purchases, any weird stores you were in, did you lose a credit card lately, any of that kind of stuff. You know, and I just basically talk to everybody, tell them how to periodically check their credit reports, and then we refer them to the appropriate websites to make the reports to those authorities.
That actually happened to me. In fact, today I got in the mail.
Make sure you were on fire call.
They asked me, the HR department asked me, they said, why are you filing unemployment? And today in the mail I got my debit card from the federal government explaining how I could withdraw my fund from the bank. And
Good thing that's recorded in case we get a call for a fraudulent withdrawal.
Happens.
So it is. So you can see it is getting very prevalent. Those claims are nothing to do with the person.
Right.
Yeah, when somebody calls you and asks for personal information or says you owe us money, please give us green dot cards or something like that. Obviously, you should be able to tell it's pretty bogus. But these things, people are they're getting notified through their employer's HR department, or like Mr. Boyer said, or anything like that. And
it's surprising it came to you instead of the person who was making the claim.
it doesn't make sense. Like,
No.
were they going to break into my mailbox or just intercept it? I don't know what they were planning on doing.
so we also conducted 9 mix-app inspections throughout the month of June. 2 of the instances, no violations were found. Everywhere else, there were, the other 7 resulted in several citations being filed. However, no trucks or operators had to be placed out of service. We did also, here between Fleetwood and Richmond, we had about 8 mental health calls resulting in subjects being taken into custody for mental health evaluations. They were taken into custody without incident. 3 here in Fleetwood, 5 in Richmond, and there were actually a couple scattered in some of the other municipalities that were covered. Equipment-wise, we're still evaluating and looking for available equipment for some of the things we need to replace or add. As I believe I said last month, our VASCAR unit is out of service. We're awaiting movement on the radar bill before we work towards either replacing that or getting something else. And our stopwatch, they had the one that was being replaced as a warranty replacement. That is, there was a snafu with their ordering system and something in their shipping department. So we're still waiting to get that, but we identified the problem and things are working well. Big news, of course, I'd like to introduce Brandon here. He is an officer currently with KU, and he's been there for a while. He's actually a Fleetwood resident, and he wanted to expand his experience outside the campus. So he's here today. He's passed the background check. We've got the physical paperwork, so we're just got to file that, and he'll be able to start working for us. Of course, if you guys give the approval to hire him, and Mayor Gore finds fit to swear him in this evening.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Boyer. Do I have a second? I have a second by Mr. Touch. Do I have any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That motion carries.
See how confident I was?
Look at you. Up and out.
First of all, we're going to do that hand forward. All right, so everybody can see it.
Give me something to read on.
No, I'll read and you just repeat after me. So you would raise your right hand. I, Officer Brandon W. Kendall,
I, Officer Brandon W. Kendall,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
the laws of this Commonwealth,
the laws of this Commonwealth,
this governmental subdivision,
this governmental subdivision,
and that I will uphold, obey, and enforce
and that I will uphold, obey, and enforce
the law and discharge the duties
the law and discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity,
of my office with fidelity,
without consideration to a person's race, color, or sex,
without consideration to a person's race, color, or sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation or age,
sexual orientation or age,
national origin or ancestry,
national origin or ancestry,
handicap or disability.
handicap, or disability.
As a police officer for Fleetwood Borough
As a police officer for Fleetwood Borough
and Richmond Township,
and Richmond Township.
I do further swear
I do further swear
that I do not advocate,
that I do not advocate,
nor am I knowingly a member
nor am I knowingly a member
of any organization that advocates
of any organization that advocates
the overthrow of the government
the overthrow of the government
of the United States or this Commonwealth
of the United States or this Commonwealth
by force or violence
by force or violence
or other unconstitutional means,
or other unconstitutional means,
or seeking by force or violence
or seeking by force or violence
to deny other persons their rights
to deny other persons their rights
under the Constitution of the United States
under the Constitution of the United States
or this Commonwealth.
or this Commonwealth.
I do further swear
I do further swear
that I will not so advocate,
that I will not so advocate,
nor will I knowingly become
nor will I knowingly become
a member of such organization
a member of such organization
during the period that I am an employee
during the period I am an employee
of the Borough of Fleetwood
of the Borough of Fleetwood
in the Township of Richmond,
in the Township of Richmond,
Berks County, Pennsylvania.
Berks County, Pennsylvania.
I'd like to do the first to congratulate you.
No, put that down for a second, Marilyn. The picture can get into that.
Let me get the flag in there. 1, 2, 3. There we go.
Congratulations, welcome. Stay safe out there.
Thank you. Thank you. All of you, thank you.
You are official. You know, you're with the best. Just want you to know that.
You work on that?
Okay.
I look forward to it.
Do you have a speech you want to give or anything?
Yeah.
No,
Did
okay.
he tell you you had to have a 10-minute speech? You didn't mention that?
Can we talk about the thunderstorm that we had? Yeah, here before then?
All right, thank you, Brendan. Just when you bring that in, on the new schedule, we'll get together on the other stuff. So that's my formal report. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or anything for me?
That's it. Chief, I had something about the Maxatawny meeting. Were you going to talk about that? or-
Would you like me to talk about that?
Sure.
Only because it was on your list.
So as we mentioned in the past, Maxatawny approached us about providing part-time coverage for them as well, much along the vein of Tofton and Ruskin Manor. The borough manager put together some rough numbers and gave them to them for consideration, and they did say that they are interested in pursuing the agreement. So there is a public meeting scheduled out there the 28th, I believe.
I believe it is, yeah.
The evening of the 28th, that we'll be going to, much like we did for Ruskin Manor, to provide an overview of the department, the services we provide, and go from there and see whether or not they have any interest. Then they'll talk about a vote, and then you guys will do your elected official thing. And what we're doing in speaking to them, we're doing it this early because the plan is to target a start, if we do go forward, the beginning of next year, to give us time to hire and upfit and acquire the equipment and stuff that we need to be able to cover it. It's something that would work out pretty well for us because we could have, schedule that in tandem with when we have someone scheduled in Tofton. So we basically would have 2 officers out east to help each other if they needed something, as well as coming back here to Fleetwood and Richmond, providing us the additional assistance if we needed it.
So Chief, we would need probably another officer and another vehicle?
Yeah, definitely, definitely another officer and definitely a vehicle. And I think that was part of the agreement, wasn't it, that much like Ruskin Manor paying partially for a vehicle, they'd be doing the same thing. Obviously, the bigger township, there'll be more miles being put on and that kind of thing, so.
How big, Max Tiny's large, how big square mile?
It's about the same thing. I think it's around 25 or 26
Oh,
square
okay, it's
miles.
the same as,
So it's on par with Ruskin Manor and Richmond.
Would your office space still accommodate with everybody?
We could. We have enough room to accommodate another full-time officer. Like I said, there'd be a little bit of expansion as far as infrastructure for us, but nothing crazy at this point. And then just flowing with of course, the expansion talks, et cetera. Next year will be the final year, the 3rd year of the Ruskin Manor contract. So what we're planning on doing tentatively, no date set in stone, is to again have a public meeting in Ruskin Manor Township and basically say, how did you like the last 3 years? What are your ideas for going forward? You want to renew it as is, seek to expand it to either a full-time arrangement or something more, something less, whatever. And that's all stuff that's, like I said, it's way out there now, but that is on the plate. So it's likewise, if we have a spring meeting next spring with Ruskin Manor and they decided they wanted to expand, we'd have the time to, do what we needed to do to be able to meet that burden. And if they decide they want to keep it the same or make some kind of change, again, we have time for the borough manager and the elected officials to tweak whatever they need to be able to go by the end of that contract.
Great, perfect, thank you so much.
Steve, do you have any thoughts on the new traffic light at the railroad tracks? Is that doing what it's supposed to do?
It is, and it gives people something to talk about on social media, which I'm sure you're not aware of.
No, my daughter won't let me go on Facebook. I don't know why.
So people are stopping. It is keeping people off the tracks. Naturally, the traffic that was backed up and stopping on the tracks there is now backed up further. And some of the people who maybe did experience the backup in traffic, or now they're either seeing traffic backed up in front of their house, some of the side streets blocked, or people diverting and coming down Franklin Street. And I like the rumble strips that you guys put in to try to slow that traffic down. No, but they were doing a bunch of construction on and some repairs and things on Franklin Street, on South Franklin Street. And so now, it's a little bumpy ride. There's a lot of patchwork over there.
but homeowners are complaining about people revving engines, playing music loud, and you're right, it's people who probably weren't used to traffic being backed up in front of their properties previously. And I don't know what you feel about that.
So I would say it appears that that light is doing its job.
What?
Unfortunately, it's not something that we elected to do. It's something that PennDOT said we have to do.
What was the intent? To keep people from, you said, from backing up from Maine all the way up over the railroad? Is that the intent?
That, yes. I mean, because it's kind of a unique situation because of the street that's right next to the railroad tracks. And with that sort of doubles the problem. You know, between the street, the railroad tracks, and then, you know, then we do have the alley and stuff going down farther. But the real people are backing up, so they're blocking both of those intersections.
Well, my shop is right there, so I get to see this all day long. And to me, it's just insanity. I was thinking of making a placard out of honk if you think this light's really stupid.
Your life would get slightly more miserable, I would believe.
I don't know. The thing is just.
Yeah, you have to talk to a traffic engineer about that, Pete.
Okay, so you think it's okay?
Yeah, it's working. People don't like change, and like I said, some of the things that were being experienced by the couple of houses You know, it's mostly parking lot and stuff. There's a couple of houses there between Main and the tracks. What they're getting is now being gotten by you and the residential neighbors to your business that are there, so.
It doesn't bother me.
If it's, well, you know, I would say look at the bright side. You and Anita's Trinkets now have people who are actually stopping, reading the signs, seeing what
Yeah,
services
right.
you provide.
My
So I'm
phone's
sure it
ringing
may
off
have
the hook.
generated more customer base for you.
A lot of drop-in customers.
Right.
Just driving by.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
But if anybody should have complaints or concerns about that light, as we mentioned, it's not a Fleetwood.
Oh, yeah, I've
It's not
said
a
that a
Fleetwood.
million times.
Yeah, they kind of
station.
snuck in
It's
and
one
they didn't even give us too much notice that they were going to be turning it on. They basically said, hey, we're going to be there, we're going to turn it on. So we couldn't even warm the water for people. Anybody else have anything for me?
Before you leave, we also were going to be talking, I thought about the large vehicle ordinance. Did you need chief here for that?
Actually, we need to still get together. So with everybody's vacations, who's all on safety? It's Ralph, myself, Mark, right?
Mark and Sean.
And John. So we haven't been able to get together, and we'd certainly like your thoughts on how we handle all these different vehicle situations. So
Okay.
So we're going to carry that to the next one.
we're going to just move that on to the next one.
No problem.
Okay.
Chief, then I think unless anybody else in the audience has another question for you or anybody on council, then you're dismissed.
Okay. I'm going to be running to Richmond and then out to Topton, so if you need something, just call me.
We will. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chief.
Good night, everybody.
We still don't have,
Up in the middle.
Chris, we don't have Ryan here, so we're not anticipating.
Correct. I emailed both the Arrow and the PIA engineer reports out. So if anybody had questions, Brian said, give them a call.
Okay, so we can move on to our guests then. We've got Mr. Anderson.
Hello.
Are you here for something that Andy's going to, or are you just visiting?
No,
Just
visiting.
visiting? We like those kinds of visitors, that's fine. Is it Andrew Goldman? I don't want to say your name correctly. Goldsmith?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. And we have two gentlemen from Brooklyn, which I can't imagine you just showing up here just off the cuff.
Yeah.
So is that for the building?
Yes.
The building discussion. Do you want to move right to that then?
And if it's okay with you, if you guys, if whoever's talking, if you come up here, we have one member of council on the speakerphone. And he's having a little bit of trouble hearing us from a distance, so.
Right, so feel free if you're going to come in up and present, gentlemen, then you just want to move forward to that speaker that's right there.
We weren't planning anything, but just by way of,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Introduce yourself.
Grab it.
So maybe give a little bit of history of you, the company, what you're planning on doing, and then we can jump to the action item.
Yes.
Andrew, would you mind spelling your last name just so I,
Goltzman.
just like it sounds?
Yes. But, yeah, we've met a few times with Pete and Chris and some of the other members of the town here. Essentially, our background is mostly development. Started in Brooklyn, obviously, as our address notes, and we've been expanding in Philadelphia mostly. So we've been in Pennsylvania, kind of unintentionally, our specialty has become rehabilitating historic properties. So in Philadelphia, two of our larger projects that are in kind of our short little presentation there are the former West Philadelphia High School, and then also the Public Ledger Building, which is right across the street from Independence Hall. So those are two very large projects, probably each of them more than twice the size of what's proposed here. And as we've kind of expanded in Pennsylvania, we've started with a few projects in Berks County now, Reading, obviously Fleetwood, hopefully, and we fell in love with the town, we fell in love with the history, we fell in love with the building, and we see it really, it really fit really easily. So, we're excited at the prospect of kind of reinvigorating that asset and bring some life to it after kind of sitting dormant for so long.
It is an incredible building, isn't it?
It is. It got us right away.
Yeah, it's really a neat story.
As Andy said, he met with myself and Chris twice. Once we had the engineers with us. And this is so important for us. And these people are real. these people know what they're doing, they have the assets, and we need to do whatever we can to accommodate them. They're, you actually have a letter of intent to purchase this building, right?
We have a contract and a closing date.
And a closing date.
Yes.
So there's a couple little things we have to hopefully do for them, but this is really important. This guy is for real. I never met this gentleman, but
He looks real.
We've had some false starts over the last 20 years. This could be wonderful. Can you picture now it's up to what, 115 apartments in the center of town with all the people and all the restaurants.
So you're talking about 115 apartments, and from what I understand, most of them are going to be small residences of 1-2 people, not
Yes.
large families.
So it's 111 units that are residential, and we have 3, kind of from our conversations, just with Chris and Pete so far, we have 3 retail spaces we reserved on the ground floor. We reached out to the liquor authority just to gauge their interest, and that's one thing that you guys had mentioned could be interesting in that spot, and they so far have been very positive and are reviewing it. But they have, multi-month kind of vetting process before they kind of get really involved with the property. I think that what we envision there are not affordable, but affordable in the sense that it's considerate to kind of what the community is. We're not looking to build fancy units. These are going to be finished very, very nicely, same standards that we bring to a project, across from Independence Hall that's demanding, premium rents of, almost $4,000 a month for a 2-bedroom. We're going to try to bring similar quality there. I think the thesis is, and I've seen that Alon, who's one of the principals, can kind of, but what I've seen and what he's built is kind of longevity and kind of investing in an asset from day one makes it easier to service. We're typically not buy and flip, we're typically buy and hold. So we're looking at this from, multi-decades, wanting a really solid tenant base that's going to add value to the town, kind of breathe the life that kind of he and Chris have kind of shared with us that they see for the property, and be really considerate to everything around.
And do you manage the properties, or do you hire management firms, or how do you?
I know that Fleetwood has a local management kind of provision, and given the projects that we have in Reading, we'll probably end up partnering with someone in Reading or Fleetwood even, just to, because Reading has similar ordinance, just to manage, the projects that ultimately start becoming apartments between the two. And maybe we do it ourselves. Historically, we've hired managers depending on the project. We've self-managed a few things. But we're going to kind of be open to the needs of the asset, and we're not going in with kind of one mindset there.
You're going to want to move here. No.
I like it a lot. I enjoy spending time here. It's really nice.
How did you come upon our location? It does seem to be a little far-flung from Philadelphia and Brooklyn.
So one of our projects in Reading, the broker, who's been with that property for a while, Kyle McKechnie.
Yep.
So Kyle showed it to us when he got the listing, and the rest is history. So we were already doing this in Reading.
It's got, beside exactly what you're talking about, renovating that area would be so beneficial to this town. It's something that we've been talking about and looking for an opportunity like this for some time.
What's your website?
It's on the back there with HeightsAdvisors.com.
Yeah, I was on it, but I would encourage everybody on council to take a look at it. It's impressive.
It needs to be updated a little bit. I think the ledger's not on there. The ledger website is ledgerphilly.com. I can email it over to Chris. And like I mentioned, if you guys ever find yourselves in Philadelphia and want to stop by one of the projects there that's kind of closest to where things are finished, we would. I mean, the 2 larger projects, we have smaller ones there too, are really kind of the same vein, just reinvigorating a historic asset. The ledger is over 100 years old now. West Philadelphia High School, very similar age, and just rehabilitating this historic asset in 2 apartments. And this it's kind of made for it, so we fell in love kind of really quickly.
Do you still own those other apartments? And
Yes.
you indicated that you try not to do the long term. So do you still, the Rogers Avenue and the Brooklyn apartment building, are those
Yeah,
still?
those are still in the portfolio, and then we've had a partner from day one with at the West Philadelphia High School project, someone whose grandparents went to the high school, and it followed that history of it being sold forever. And Ledger is our project, and we have no plans of shedding any of them. We're really proud of what we've done there, and I think we want to bring kind of a similar kind of approach here.
And what closing date are you looking at? Are you able to say?
Our posit goes firm, I think, 2 weeks from today. So
it's
we have this one other item really to check with the town, and then we're going to schedule probably closing date for late August, September.
Is there something in particular you're looking to us to provide? Or just trying to get a feel of the receptiveness?
There's three things, or two primary things that there's caution on. One is parking, and we're into discussions with Andrew. They're going to need up to 200 spaces. There's 100 and some on property, so they're going to have to come to council and just ask for spaces on our parking lot. So our ordinance already allows it, so that it's just for this procedure, it would be, in the future, he would come and say, I need X amount of spaces on the lot. Okay, but by code, we're fine.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons for tonight is the land development plan. The land to the left, as you're looking at the property towards the railroad, on the left is a small building. To the left of that is the parking lot. That's what he's going to develop, the land development. So during conversations.
Go back to parking. The borough would lease him space.
Correct.
You didn't say that.
Okay.
We're not going to give.
Correct. Well, that's up to council, but that would be the perception that there would be a transaction that he would purchase the lease for the spaces. But the land development, during conversation, Mark Cuck was representing at the one, or helping with the process. If you remember, Mark has done 2 of our properties in the borough before. Both of them were apartments that council agreed to do a waiver of the land development plan contingent on the sketch that you have, that's what he's doing. So the permission would be, or the request tonight would be a conditional land development waiver for the parking lot on the condition that it stays where the sketch is. So what it does is it eliminates about 2 months worth of process, at least, right? And
At least.
Planning commission, the first planning commission formalities. So that would be the request tonight.
So that's what this is. So
Yeah.
you're looking to demolish that building on the left and
That's
provide
the
more parking?
Little garage, not the nice building.
The red.
This is the nice building.
Oh, okay.
This is a piece of junk in the back.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. So this actually was the Merkel
Correct.
Wagon Works. Merkel Schaefer, yeah.
Yeah, it's on the thing. Okay, now, we've done this in the past, not too distant past, twice. Waived land development for the apartments on South Richmond and for the shop, And, he's not developing any land. Everything is remaining as is. To me, land development is, you come, you buy a piece of land and you develop it. You're not doing that, so.
Just get rid of that.
Change the formality.
It's a
Basically,
formality.
it's demolition.
I'll make a motion that we waive the land development requirement.
We have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
And just to be clear, it was conditioned upon this site plan and building plans dated July 9th.
That motion carries. Can I just ask a question, and I'm just curious, are you going to be keeping some of the, historic elements
Yes.
of this?
No, the plan is to, one of the kind of,
Or reinvigorate it somehow, utilize it some way?
no, the plan would definitely be to keep the signage, and part of not the rush, but the emphasis for kind of speed here is we want to make sure the roof is existing damage. We want to get it. You can't really do roof work in the winter. We want to make sure we can close and address that in the fall. And, you know, we definitely want to retain as much as we can of what's there now. And the sign is definitely, I think, it adds to the building. It makes it what it is. So
I don't know if you'll get a chance, and this is all sort of off topic, and I'll get to the name of the place. There actually is a small garage in, I want to say it's off of Why I'm Missing. They have a mural, believe it or not, of this building and history, Fleetwood history and everything. It's really beautiful. I don't know why they have it in this particular garage, but I can get you the information just so you can see it. It might be something that.
I never heard that.
Oh, there is, absolutely. It's at, it's off of one, where we used to take 724. It's like called Mr. Jiffy or something, in some sort of garage, and they have this, the picture on their wall of this, and it looks, the inside of it looks like this, and it has the whole history of Fleetwood and the surrounding area. So it'd just be something that maybe, keeping with the town, it might be something you'd be interested just seeing, and then maybe it has some use for a corporation or something.
For sure, no, one of the showroom in New York is a few blocks from where I live, and I didn't realize that when we first started, but it was Fleetwood Auto Body was here, and then they had a showroom in Columbus Circle, right in Manhattan. So it's interesting.
How do you know that? Is there any verbiage or signs still?
So the clock that I found is one of
Yeah.
that. It says Fleetwood and New York kind of on the clocks they had in some of the cars, and then there's I found no ad. I'll try to drum it up and get you guys a copy. But there was a showroom in Columbus.
I knew there was one up there, but
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, we have the Fleetwood Historical Society in this building downstairs, which has many, many things, items. I don't know, again, if any of those things you might want to consider incorporating. Of course, we want to keep the history of Fleetwood in the building and encourage you to do that, because that's the whole point. So those are the opportunities for you to find other information or whatever, but it's downstairs and it's chock full.
Well, the anniversary of anniversary of Fleetwood is coming up in 2023, but the anniversary of the state is coming up in 2026. So there's lots of things to capitalize on here. So, when would you expect to have this building developed and occupancy?
I think it all depends on closing, but from closing, I mean, 24 to 36 months on the long end, and assuming no bumps in the road, I think we should be able to move through. I guess by way of example, Ledger, we closed on in August of 2019. It's now almost August 2021. So, and that has 228 units that should all be fully, certified with for occupancy. By August, latest September, so that was about 24 months. I think it's a little bit smaller. This is our first time obviously doing a project with Fleetwood, so I think it'll be just very similar to Philadelphia, but a little bit of cushion for that. I think 24 to 36 months is reasonable.
Do you use local people for construction, or do you have a construction team that you bring in?
So some of our vendors in Philadelphia, they have homes that they grew up out here. So I think our electrician and one of the drywall guys is from here and is excited. But other than that, I think we'll be probably looking to shop locally. Yeah.
So, thank you. Is there anything else that you need from us?
No, I want to mention that when Andrew met with us the very first time, we had everything outlined, and the same question came up, when will it be completed? And he goes, well, your anniversary is coming up in 2023. He did his homework.
The goal is, I mean, that's 2 years, but the goal would be hopefully to have it where that could be really we put a spotlight on it by then. So, but it depends on a few things. But hopefully we move quickly to closing and we could get started quickly.
And thank you for being so amenable to including some retail space in the bottom, because I think with that number of people in the area, we need to encourage the retail piece as well. And so I thank you for making that space.
No, that's exciting for us too. Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Fleetwood has all the earmarks of a wonderful small town. Beautiful. I mean, I don't know if you had the opportunity to go out to the parks. I mean, we have all that hometown feel. We always say it's everybody's hometown, no matter where you're from. That's what Fleetwood is. And we have a parade downtown, and we get a lot of involvement, homecoming, everything. You'll be part of all those things. You'll get to see some of those things. That's the flavor of Fleetwood. So I'm really looking forward to bringing some more people here to enjoy what a great place this is.
So that's part of what we fell in love with. That's what kind of sold us when we were doing our due diligence. So we're excited.
So sounds wonderful.
Yeah, we have a lot of traffic that goes through.
Yes, we do. There is a traffic there.
It's
but-
not a sleepy town.
No.
But,
Denton, I
Yeah,
think
they
you had a
cut right
question.
down from the locust.
So Andrew
Wait,
also, I make contact with Bob Knoll from the Historical Society.
Yep.
And actually Russ Anderson, who is right next to your partner back there, is also in the Historical Society. So they would be glad to show you around, I'm sure.
and don't forget to show them the conference room with some of the blown up pictures of.
You saw 'em.
Oh, you saw them?
There you go. Denton, I'm sorry, you had a question?
Andrew, my name's Benson Tricker, food resident. I'm also with the Water and Sewer Authority. But the first question I have for you is just curiosity. I heard you say a price for a 2-bedroom apartment, but I didn't hear the,
Well, that was Philadelphia, that's,
Oh.
I was comparing kind of finishes that we have there, which are, almost 4,000 a month for a 2-bedroom. Here, the pricing will be whatever the local data shows, and the finishes will be almost identical. So.
you have no clue at this point. Like,
We've looked, I mean, there's not a lot of numbers for Fleetwood, but I mean, Kutztown and a couple other local areas.
Okay, that was just a curiosity question. As far as water and sewer is concerned, are there any calculations on what the increase in volume will be?
We're working to get that to Chris over the next couple of days. That's next on our list. That's the other open item. And the architect walked through the building when he was doing the site plan, and we're going to work with one of his folks internally and come up with those estimates and get them to you. That's the next big thing on our list.
All right, and then Craig, my next question would be for you. What direction is this sewage going to take? Is it going to take it down to the Richmond Street station that we're working on now, or?
Yes.
Denton, that'll probably be something that comes up with water and sewer, so I'm sure there'll be another presentation.
We're working on that, Andy, we're working on it.
Okay.
We're not going to have all that information at your meeting. We're not prepared for it.
At this month's meeting, at the
Yes.
July meeting.
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
Which is next week, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so the goal is to have I think George already sent out an email to the authority saying this was going to be on the agenda.
Recently, today.
What was that?
I didn't see Andy's email, but.
Not Andy,
Oh,
George,
okay.
your president.
Our chairman.
Chairman, yes. He sent an email almost like the last week or so.
I see.
So I want to thank you for coming
Thank you.
tonight. Thank you so much for your proposal. It looks beautiful. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the both of you and seeing how this goes forward.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
your
much.
time. Thank you.
I left you my card if you have any other
Yeah.
questions and you can't get a hold of Chris or whatever, to feel free.
I just want to tell you how excited we are. I also want to tell you how excited Andrew is. I mean, he's already read the full history of Fleetwood, the full history of the building. He's looked for old models of Fleetwood cars with the hope of purchasing one to put in the building as a model. He's very excited about your upcoming anniversary. He's hoping to work with you guys to maybe do an auto show surrounding the building. He's very, very committed. I just want to add, West Lofts, which is a 600,000 square foot project that will end up being 400 units. When we went there, the neighborhood was much more desolate. I mean, it's a really desolate situation. And because it became an anchor for the neighborhood, the surrounding 4 or 5 blocks have become completely rehabilitated in the past 5 years. It's an amazing transformation because you had this 2-block building that was that sat empty and subject to crime and those kinds of things. But I just wanted to tell you, we wanted to come, the principal wanted to come to tell you how committed we are to this, how excited we are, and also to really tell you that in Heights and in Andrew, you're going to have an incredible partner, and you should feel absolutely free to reach out to him for any thoughts on how to improve the project. He's very, very excited. He's very committed. And he's a historian, so he's so he really and he brought me to look at the building, and as soon as I walked in, I said absolutely this is the building that we want to try and bring back to life. So thank you so much for taking the time.
I didn't catch your name. Would you?
Oh, my name is, it's Alain Coetzee, but it's just Alan in French. I came from France.
Could you spell your last name for me? sir?
Koedsi. But we came, I came to the country from France when I was 5.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so it's.
Well, you haven't lived till you've seen an Amish cart go down the street, so
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
I've seen those. We've actually hired Amish carpenters.
Oh, they're the best.
You won't find anybody better.
Yeah, no, they come, yes,
Their tongue and groove, the tongue and groove work that they do and the kinds of things that they can do, you will marvel at. It is a workmanship that you've not seen.
We have a gentleman in town who does extremely high-end speaker and sound systems. And the reason he has his plant here is because of the Amish workers. And there's a video that he talks about that. He's also from New York, but he has all the work done here. So
You won't be disappointed.
You'll be pleasantly pleased.
So Andrew's already spoken to him.
You go, Andrew.
And he also told me that I had to go look at their facility, their retail place in Brooklyn.
They're a few blocks from us. Neighbors here, local neighbors in Borough.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's amazing. I
I
just see that this is the ground floor of something amazing. I'm so grateful that you found us.
And to reiterate what Andrew said, if any of you would like a tour of the Ledger or of West Lofts, there are other properties, but those are two signature pieces. The West Lofts is the largest historic we have in Philadelphia. So that's and the Ledger has a very storied history as well. So we are very excited when we're able to bring back something with a storied past and adapt it to the current times. That's very exciting. So thank you for that. But again, we really continue to show our support to you and also to tell you how excited we are that Andrew's going to be the lead on this project and how excited he is.
Well, we're looking forward to working with you. Thank you so much for being here and introducing yourselves. It's nice to put a face with a name we've been kind of hearing tossed around. And if you need anything now, we know who
You can reach any of us through Chris. So anything we can do for you to make this more smooth transition, we're happy to help.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Wonderful. Great news. Okay, I think that's. Were you just visiting tonight? I don't mean just. That sounded awful.
Walk into what I wasn't expecting to walk into.
Always exciting here in Fleetwood.
Those are the only questions I could come up with right offhand. Now I heard a little more, I'll keep thinking.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there'll be presentations at the water and sewer to accommodate that.
Thank you so much.
So much forward to this. All right.
Yes, very nice to meet you. I haven't really, I wasn't involved in this, so this is pretty impressive.
Thank you so much. Travels back to Brooklyn tonight?
It won't, absolutely.
Oh my goodness, safe travels this weather.
It's a very quick trip.
All right, bye-bye, sir.
Good night. Well,
I think that
that's
was a
exciting.
story.
It's so important. And those guys, real is the only word I can come up with. We've had.
No, they're on top of it. They're on top of it.
Sammy, we're going to have to revitalize or reconsider our ideas for downtown and be a lot of big changes, don't you think?
Well, yes, and Pete and I continue to say it, but just look at it. We'll see all this happen.
Seems like we made it.
Can you imagine, 100 and some people coming back to work, home from work, and it's like.
The restaurants,
God.
and the shop, all the tires.
Yeah.
It's going to be more like 200 people. Yes.
Peter,
Yeah.
what do you think their feelings will be on the traffic light at the railroad?
Well, maybe they'll get a pellet gun and shoot it out. Or something.
At the end of the day, that traffic light is to keep people safe from this.
No, come up and sit in my window.
I appreciate, I'm not watching everybody sit there, but like driving through it, I know you stop earlier, but it doesn't seem like.
If you get backed up, that's for certain times of the day, because I've been in that situation. I'm up past Spruce Street towards Pricetown.
But wasn't it always that backed up only like move 2 blocks forward? Because
Yeah,
you can't stop in the first 2 blocks.
It's the
Now
same
you're just
back.
pushing it back.
All you have to do is look at the people, they sit there and they start, fussing and fuming, and then they cut down poles.
Maybe we have to put up some signage to make people be calm, like meditation
Yeah,
signage or
If
something,
people-
or nice music
if
or
people wouldn't be
something.
silly and stop on the tracks of the cars, PennDOT probably
Right,
would put the
wouldn't
light
need it,
there.
right.
Well, that's true.
So-
That light is the reward for lack of common sense.
Yeah.
On the other hand, when all those people backed up, it's a good place, you can start selling pretzels at your front door.
Good, now it makes
You
sense.
have to
Magnets,
optimize
flicker
your
magnets.
opportunities.
Lemonade, I mean,
You
come on,
gotta
come on.
optimize, I'm telling you, Anita Trinket, I bet you she got some business.
When I talked to Anita, I tell her you're back on the railroad, she goes, almost like you're the only person in town that likes it.
Right.
I got a
beautiful
about
shop
3 or
there.
4
Just
times
stop
when the
and
light's
think,
only in one direction. Why isn't there a light going?
Because you can't stop the other way
You don't
on the
stop the
tracks.
other
I understand, I'm just saying.
Some people stop on the other side.
But that does annoy you because the other side is
Right,
moving and
they're
you're
like-
sitting there like, yeah.
But then people are coming up are going, wait, why are they stopping?
Yeah, no, they stop, and then it's,
It's confusing at best.
They could start the light 10 seconds
Well, I think,
earlier
no,
than
we've gotten
the-
through, oh, I'm sorry.
They didn't do that time.
I think we've moved through our guests. Andy, I think you're the next one up.
All right. So, the first thing on the agenda under me, open records rule changes for council meetings. So this happened on June 30th, and this has been in the works for a number of years, and it actually passed. So the Sunshine Act was amended, and there are a number of new requirements. The requirements, some of them relate to putting the meeting agenda on the municipal website 24 hours in advance of the meeting. And the agenda has to list each matter to be considered. Otherwise, you can't act on it. And I think we do this anyway, but the agenda has to be distributed to all attendees. There are a number of exceptions that can apply. So if there's an emergency, which is either a current or potential emergency with a real and present danger to life or property, you can act on that. If there are new issues, so if there's an issue that arises within 24 hours prior to the meeting, you can act on that also. There's also an exception for de minimis or minor issues which do not involve the expenditure of funds or entering into a contract. And then the fourth exception is like an override exception, because the governing body can take the action if a majority formally approves the amendment to the agenda. So that's like the panic button, I guess. You only use it if necessary. So that's kind of the summary of the act. The act actually applies to authorities also.
Yes, it does.
So it's going to affect everybody. So whoever's affected by the Sunshine Act is affected by the amendments to it. So it's just something to get used to. A lot of stuff we already do, but some changes to be aware of.
And it looks as if section 2, subsection D, am I reading that correctly, that if someone comes to the meeting and raises something, then we can address it and either do further research on it or whatever?
Right.
So
I
for-
mean, that's an
if
issue that came up within 24 hours of the meeting. It's actually happened.
Right, of course, right.
Yeah.
Right, sure, that makes sure that we can hear whoever shows up. I don't think this is really too different than what we do now. We just have to remember to,
A few more hoops.
a few more hoops to go through. I think we can handle it. Okay.
So that's just advisory, and letter B is already taken care of.
Okay,
That's all I have.
all right, perfect. Park and pool issues, the DCNR grant project scope change, that was Mr. Watkins. Is he going to be able to report on that?
Mark, are you still on
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can.
there? Yep, pretty good actually.
Very good. I take hard time hearing you. I'm not sure how much longer I can hang on, but let's try. So I guess now's the time to talk about the DCNR grant, Wendell Park. Initially, as Chris and I have talked, we expected around $600,000 to cover the band shell and seating area. And that included a grant from DCNR with that $300,000. DCNR came back and said that the $300,000 grant not going to happen. However, they told us that there's a good chance that we might be approved for $200,000. And they said, we still continue with the project if they only give us $200,000, meaning the borough would now owe $400,000. And the thinking was, no, that's probably not in the cards. However, if we change the scope of the project to just the band shell, not a cover, the band shell, and added the bridge, that brings the whole total down to around 400 plus thousand. I think it's like 450, 460. And then we would still get the $200,000 potential match. So the motion is to change this, or the discussion is to change the scope to just the band shell and the bridge, and mix the cover. Chris, did they capture all that properly based on our conversations?
Yep, that's correct.
So we need a motion on
Are you making the motion, Mark?
I think we should, yeah, because we do a motion and then a discussion, right?
Correct.
So are you making that motion, Mark? Mark, are you?
So yeah, that's a motion.
Okay. So Mark is making, so Mr. Watkins is making a motion to amend the scope of the DCNR grant project. Do I have a second? I have a second by Mr. Touch. Do I have any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Did everybody say aye? Ellen, yes?
I don't oppose.
Okay,
Yeah, that's fine.
you say,
Yes.
you agree, okay. Okay,
That doesn't,
then-
that's just applying for the grant. If
That's
we
just
get
for-
it, then we would have other discussions.
Right, yes, this is just in
Yes.
the application, to change the application
Yes.
to meet, to match what we want to work, apply to, have it apply to.
Yes.
Okay, so then that motion carries. All right. Thank you, Mark. Anything else on that?
I think that's it. And like I said, I'll hang out as long as I can, but it's kind of like listening to Charlie Brown talking to his teacher when I listen to you guys talk, so I'm trying.
No problem, no problem. Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Water and sewer, Pete, the rates?
Chris explained this to me twice, but I can't remember. So we were gonna raise the water rates, you mean that?
August of this year.
In August of this year to help with the loan that we were going to
The
take.
Penvest loan, correct.
Penvest. However, the water, and that was to cover the water part.
So it was August of this year and August of next year to cover the Penvest loan.
Right. However, the water project is being delayed, so it's going down the road. We don't need to take the loan when we thought we were going to take the loan. So the idea is to not raise water rates this year. Is that correct?
So what I spoke to Pete about was the project, first of all, it was, when council first voted on this, has been delayed twice because of rebids.
It's soon going to start again.
Right, but I mean, the actual project didn't even get bid, it was twice rebid.
Right.
So
Right.
we had issues.
Right.
And then when the bid came in, and then it was started, and we're guaranteed at this point not to start, we don't have to start paying back the loan in 30 days after the whole project is complete. There's no way the project's going to be complete this year. Bottom line. So you could hold off the rate increase for 2022 and 2023 rather than 2022 or 21 and 22.
What kind of rate increase are we talking?
It was 12.5%,
How much?
12.5% each one.
I think I have it here.
Would it not behoove to raise it, 4% each year, or instead of waiting? I don't know. I don't know what that
I
equates
wouldn't
to,
wait till
12 and a half.
August of next year, because, now they have the material, if they continue to get material, they may be done by, it could be possible they'll be done by spring.
Even still, when the loan would kick in,
Right.
we have enough in the water fund to cover until the additional rates would come in. So.
Just letting you know that
Yep.
it most likely will be done before next August.
Chris's scenario was, we just got through with this COVID stuff and all that, and people were stressed. We could, but we don't have to raise the rates this year.
That's right, it's just an option that I suggested to Pete to think about. That's all.
The other option for 100 new apartments going to modify the water usage enough is maybe a new calculation for the math for the rate. It's 100 new apartments.
I don't know what 12.5% looks like on our water rates. I mean,
We are cheap.
I would guess it's about $25 to the average person that's not on the minimum bill.
The average is 10,000 gallons per quarter. Now, this is sewer water here. It's $150 every 3 months.
That's total sewer and water.
Water is $87.30 and sewer is $60.75 for an average home.
for 3 months.
For 3 months.
Okay, so we're not far, it's not.
It's not a lot.
Okay.
Either way.
Okay.
Because it's been a time for stress for a lot of people for COVID, though, if we can wait, perhaps we can wait, and then we're gonna have this new development happening, and then that may give rise to some new jobs and all kinds of opportunities, so maybe it'll be a better time for people
That's
if we can wait a little bit.
Chris's thought was.
Does that make sense?
So yeah, the authority already passed a resolution to start it no sooner than August of this year. So you could do it May of next year. We could postpone it until a more applicable and reasonable time.
If you say, on average, your bill's going to increase by $25 every 3 months, that sounds a whole lot better than 12.5%.
Yeah.
I mean, 12.5% sounds
It
scary.
sounds big, but it's.
But it's not.
Small numbers.
So it's just a matter of making sure people are educated too.
Right, we want to make sure we give the correct message, but it sounds truly scarier when you use the percentages, when what actually is going to, now for some people, that still could be something.
Right.
That they didn't count on, but maybe we could, I think if we wait a little while longer, things are still not settled, people are still getting stimulus checks, I think, at this point. So let's let the workforce get back to work.
So if it pleases council, we can address it next March, April, depending on where the project is. And so we don't have to make a decision now when they go up. We're making a decision, you are making a decision to postpone until at least.
Why don't we look at this back next in January? By then, that project will be well underway. You'll have some information about water usage, and if that changes anything, it might, we don't know. And maybe in January, can you put a pin in it for January, Chris, as a reminder to put it back on the agenda then?
Yep. Maybe February, because January's meeting is usually.
Oh, right, sure.
Chris, do you know how that rate increase was worded in the resolution? Is it open-ended or is it?
We can double, I don't think it was not required to start.
I
So, and
recall.
this decision now goes to the authority next week anyway, so.
Okay. Then if that's it, that you
That's
have?
it for me.
Okay. Then managers report the budget status, Chris?
Everybody got that in email. If you had any questions, let me know. Related to that, which is B, the ARPA funds, which is the American Recovery something Act.
Biden money.
That's what?
The Biden money.
Biden money. The COVID money was made available to all municipalities. Fleetwood is getting roughly $450,000-ish. The first wave of that is already in our bank account. If everybody got the treasurer's report, you'll see that on the last line, the ARPA fund is $214,781. That was 50% for this year. A lot of municipalities didn't even apply for it yet. Some of them did apply, didn't get it. Luckily, we were able to get ours in. There were no issues, and we got the funds. The council decision for later will be where to use it. Right now, based upon the last meeting we discussed, we're going to keep it in its own account until the dust settles and we figure out what proposals we're going to use it for. You have to use it for infrastructure, as I mentioned at the last meeting. Craig and I will be sitting down and looking at potential water storm sewer project that might be available, and or if we even want to use this for the current water project that's ongoing. So we'll have some proposals, most likely in the next month or two, for council to consider. That's reasonable.
Do we have to go back to them and get approval on whatever project we choose? Because it was pretty unclear.
It was very unclear, and there's still, the dust is still settling, but pretty much Andy's office has been.
It's basically an
instrumental.
audit after you use the money.
So here's the money, use it wisely,
Yes.
and if we come back and ask, you better make sure you use it properly.
That's correct. American Rescue Plan Act.
There you go.
American Rescue Plan.
Thank you.
Is there a deadline to when you must use the money?
2024 it has to be allocated, and by 2026 it has to be consumed. So the 24 to 26, I've heard varying stories about that too. Like you better make sure 80% is by 2024, and if you have residual going into 2026, don't plan on spending it all. But again, it's an audit. Everybody's asking us the exact same questions. So
Chris, what was that total amount? It was 200?
right now we have 214, 214,781 and 22 cents. And that will be replicated next year.
And I don't know if this is something we can do. Is there any way we can put that in any kind of fund to make it grow? Do we have to, you know what I mean? Like, can we invest it in some way? Can we put it in some sort of an account to make it grow or something? No?
I haven't heard of any restrictions related to that.
That question's been asked, and there was, everybody said, that's a good question. So right now it's in non-interest bearing until we figure out if we can. So.
I'm just wondering if we can do something. I mean,
I haven't heard we can't.
right. Maybe that would be beneficial to consider, and then, of course, that money would grow, and then that would be a good thing.
Worst case is we would have to pay that money back to the feds if they would say you weren't supposed to do that, right? I would think there's going to be a penalty on it. So if they come back and say, oh, you made money on our money?
The exit, the earn.
The earnings, right? Then we would say, okay, here's your $50 back, whatever, at 0.01%.
I don't know, right? There's no value to that, but just a thought.
No, we'll look into it.
I think PSATs, the State Association of Townships, has on their website an interactive map where you can actually kind of run your mouse over the municipalities that could show what each one got, when they got it.
Oh, yeah,
It's up to date.
Spring Township was $1 million in Berks County. That was nice. I remember in a conference call saying, can we change our name to Spring?
That's
And
still,
the answer was no, but
that's still a great deal of money that we were not expecting. And
Right.
we weathered the storm pretty well, so we can use it, when we use it wisely, it will be a benefit. All right.
Could it put up a paint shed?
no, actually that's pretty clear.
A bridge.
A bridge?
No.
No,
Bridge is an infrastructure.
No.
But water goes under.
So back to the water.
Yeah, it's water, sewer. Pete, there's one for you. There's a 5G broadband you can invest in.
Sure, go for it.
And then, there's four things, but everybody's concentrating on the water, sewer infrastructure. And apparently, most places have been asking, why can't we use it for streets? That's infrastructure. And the answer has been, stay tuned. They foresee another proposal, another wave of money for streets.
Where's all this money coming from?
You and me.
Okay.
Printing press.
How about we move on to the Main State Fair, the Main Street Fair?
Oh, so we just need a resolution.
Excuse me, 1 second, Chris, I'm sorry, Ned, what?
Have we come to a conclusion on the EPA audit? Is that all over and done with?
I've not heard that, actually.
Okay.
Okay, Chris?
So Main Street Fair, they're asking permission to close Main Street October 2nd from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., similar to what they did a year ago for the Main Street Fair, where they have tents and local businesses from Fleetwood, and it highlights the business district. So they would like to close the streets. Steve's aware, and we'll do the permit. He just needs a resolution in the minutes from council to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Touch to prepare that resolution to close Main Street on October 2nd. Do I have a second? And a second by Mr. Neals. Do I have any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That motion carries.
All of them.
That sounds great. Just think how that change that will be changed in a year or two
Yeah.
following that. It'll be amazing.
Yes.
It will be amazing. Greg, I've got you up next as the hunting and the watershed discussion.
Yeah, I did not get to talk to the game commission. I've been extremely busy, and then I was away for a few days as well. So, based on just what I know, the game commission is going to not, they're not going to take a stand on this. It's our property, it's our decision. I don't know, it's up to council what you guys want to do, but if we're going to restrict no hunting or hunting restrictions, we need to do it soon because, early archery season, a month or more away, a little over a month away.
Starts the end of September.
So, I'm afraid if we do no management at all, no deer management at all, and in our forest management plan that Larry Lloyd put together with First Nature, has a couple of scenarios for deer management, and, just archery hunting, limiting people, that kind of thing is one of those scenarios. You can limit it to no hunting and see what happens. If we get overrun by a deer herd up there, we may have to bring people in to thin the herd at some point in time. I did have one neighbor that hunts up there. He gets a permit every year and he hunts there. He borders the backside on the Clemens Road side. He had emailed me and said, hey, he must have read the minutes and saw it was in that, we might possibly restrict hunting. And he said, I really appreciate you guys thinking it over because I don't, he living there still feels, and I feel the same way, there shouldn't be rifles, muzzle loaders, shotguns, any type of firearm up there. I think that's a danger. It's surrounded by homes. The area is not big enough, and I think that we should restrict that. However, archery, I don't think it's a bad idea to keep the herd in check and only allow maybe 6 or 8 people. Those 6 or 8 people would have to, kind of keep their eyes on the property. This particular gentleman says he does hunt archery, and if he would love to be included if that's what you guys allow. And he had already, and some of these guys will do these kind of things. He has already said, hey, if you do that, and I happen to be able to be included, I'll help post signs and help, maintain and watch who comes in and comes out. And I think that's what you'll get if you get a good small group of archery hunters in there. Russ and I were talking about it earlier tonight, but I mean, that's my feeling.
Where did this discussion come from, and what, have we done nothing in the past?
Well, we just, if you call in, give your registration number, your license plate number, and, if we say, okay, you can go in there and hunt. That's how they've always done it, and that's how we continue to do it. And I'm not really comfortable with that.
This came up at the last meeting.
Okay.
And it came up because of a fear of guns and that the volume is getting bigger and the watershed property is not very large, correct?
But actually, it's 200 acres.
It's bordered,
the
but it's
whole
bordered,
thing.
but it's bordered by homes.
There's a walking trail. It starts at the water tanks and goes up and moves around.
Yeah, which we walk.
I've walked that 1,000 times. Yeah, in the winter, when there's no leaves, you walk that trail, you can see the houses.
Yeah.
And people are in there with high-powered rifles shooting deer. It's crazy.
With a bow, you're shooting maximum 50 yards, and that's with a good bow and a good line of vision.
Well,
I don't know how this actually started.
Yeah.
Was it me?
No, I don't think so. I think it was kind of me because, I think it seems to be growing. I think this last year I had 20 people, and that's too many people. Too many people,
20 at one
especially with
time, or
rifles,
20
and they
over-
don't know where each other are. Now they use the whole 200 acres. They don't just use the big part. There's some down at well 14, down around the back there too, but
It's not all this.
I just
Well,
felt
and it
that
goes
there
on
has
both
to be,
sides. It goes
yeah,
up
there has
both
to be a
sides of
better
the
way to do it than we've been doing it.
Getting permits for the season by just calling Craig and registering.
You know, the other option in our forest management plan is to find a group that wants to lease it, and lease it to that group, let them post it, let them hunt it, let them police it.
Which
That's
is
another option.
Russ had sent out a couple items that I copied and thrown in everybody's emails. Russ has been very proactive in trying to help with some ideas as well.
I don't know if you have any more to add, Russ.
Craig and I were talking prior, and there were nightmare stories about hunting up there years ago. And like what? People riding around in rifle season with ATVs on the Borough watershed and not wearing fluorescent arms. And
So it's an accident waiting to happen, and we just.
it was,
been lucky.
and it was, or is.
And those acts are all violations.
Well, that's right.
But they're only violations when people are monitoring it and can catch those people. That's usually after the fact, unfortunately. So maybe we can take some proactive steps to make sure that that it's an enjoyable experience. I'm not a hunter and I don't own guns or.
Years ago, when I did hunt archery up there, I couldn't tell you the number of people, because you're sitting in camouflage, the number of walkers that came walking by, never saw me. Those that I knew I scared the daylights out of them by saying hello. And, you know, we talked about walking trails, we talked about better ways to use the property. And, you know, the idea of not letting rifles or firearms on the property was a good step in the right direction.
I agree. I mean, we've been talking about revamping that area so that it could be a viable walking trail. So why would we have people running around, shooting?
Yeah.
I also am not a hunter and I don't own guns, but, yeah, no, that's scary. I had no idea. Thank you for bringing it to our
I
attention.
mean, if you guys want to restrict it altogether for a year or two, see what happens. We can do that, and we can always look at leasing it if we get overrun and we need some management. We can always look at leasing it for a
And if
year or
that
two.
happens, we put a closed sign on the walkways or whatever, and, but,
Couldn't we do something this year that's sort of a combination of that? Couldn't we better post the walking areas and maybe restrict it to archery? I know that there's an awful lot of people in town who do enjoy hunting and do enjoy hunting by bow. It seems to me that might be a way to meet both interests. I don't know enough about this to make a recommendation because I'm not familiar enough with the walk area. Tammy, you are, and Pete. Is there a way we could do that? Is there a way that's an opportunity this season to make it better for walkers so that they don't get scared by people in camouflage or in their very camouflage? I do think if we're going to have a walking trail, we have, in my estimation, we have been very lucky that there has, well, maybe we've had very responsible people hunting, but maybe that always won't be the case. And I do find it a little concerning to have.
Sneak on, and you're going to get that whether they have a permit right now or whether they don't, or whether you have restrictions or don't. You're not going to 100% be able to stop somebody sneaking on. That's going to happen. But if they do that and something happens and they violated our rules, hopefully we can figure out who it is and prosecute them properly. But I mean, if we try our best to restrict things, and even if you limit it to archery only, that doesn't mean during rifle season you can still go up there and hunt, but you have to hunt with your bow.
Right, I'm just thinking, I'm wondering if there's a compromise that we could meet that would meet, I hesitate to undo something that's been a historic, something that people have done in Fleetwood for decades, that's enjoyable to some people, so, but likewise, we have to compare the safety. If we are encouraging people to walk there, we need to make sure that they are as safe as can be, and we have to alert them that there may be bow hunting, or we have to, I believe, put some sort of signage up to make sure that both parties are safe, everybody's safe, and those homeowners that are nearby as well.
The archery season starts in September. When's the last time you could use a bow and arrow?
End of January.
It's a longer season.
It's a very long season, so that means you're going to lock off walkers from September to January?
I would encourage walkers to come through anytime, really. I mean, I've oftentimes encountered people out watching for birds or taking for walks when I'm out hunting and have nice conversations with the folks.
But can't we make people aware? Like we can make, just like we have signs up in our Fleetwood Park, we have signs about the activities there. Couldn't we put a sign that gives some history of the watershed area? This is the hours, this is what's happening here, this is the season for what, I mean, so people know what to expect. If they know what to expect and it's posted, then we should be in good shape.
You might want to put that on your website, what you just said, and at the main areas like down where the tank is, where people park and walk up through, or off of Clemens Road, put some signs that say archery hunting only.
Yeah,
Right.
I wouldn't stop the walking.
No.
Is that?
Yeah, I wouldn't stop the walking.
No, it's a matter of, do you want to walk with people with bow and arrows?
But shooting.
But I think the thing is, you need to know that it's happening, Tim, and then you can make a knowledgeable decision. If it's where you want to walk, and many places in the Pennsylvania area are rural, and people hunt, where there are trails, so I don't think that this
Mock Chunk
is.
Lake and Jim Thorpe has exactly the same thing. You can walk down that trail and there's people with deer hunting right next to you.
Right.
If you go over to Blue Marsh during small game season, you will see hunters out there hunting for rabbits and pheasants and squirrels, and archery hunters in the trees, and people are walking the dog on the trails. And the people are wearing fluorescent orange so that they're visible, or they have a fluorescent orange jacket on the dog, and, you know,
And-
they're this close to walking.
It's nuts.
And
It
how
really
about
is.
no hunting on Sundays?
Game Commission has, I mean, you can do what you want. The Game Commission has allowed, was it 3 or 4 this year?
Yes.
Of Sunday hunting to encourage younger people to go hunting. There's a youth movement on for hunting. And that's their way of encouraging it.
And like I
Sunday
said, again, if you're not comfortable with anything, you can restrict it and see what happens, and if we get overrun, you know,
Do we have that many deer up there? Like, you could get overrun?
yeah,
They would starve to death.
I think
Is
it's
what would
a
happen.
possibility, yeah.
They move somewhere else. Well, yeah,
I mean, it's all a matter of liability and what you guys are comfortable with. I mean, I think we could come up with a plan that would work. And I think if you would say, hey, we'll allow archery up to 8 people, I would sit with Larry Lloyd and come up with a real, define our aspect of our deer management in our forest management plan and gear it towards our decision. Right now, it's kind of open-ended because we haven't really made a decision.
Well, I like
So-
that, but controlled bow season.
Yeah.
Controlled.
And did you say that in other walking places, people know enough to wear, not camouflage, the orange?
Over at Blue Marsh and on state game lanes, the Game Commission puts up signs that say, hunters wear orange, so should you. But last year in small game season over at Blue Marsh, the bow hunters are, of course, in camouflage, and they were on the ground and up in trees. And the small game hunters, they were walking around with their dogs after pheasants and rabbits and squirrels. And I saw numerous people walking with their dogs, some on a leash, some without a leash, and either the person or the dog had a piece of fluorescent orange on them. And
I thought hunters had to have orange.
They do.
not in
but it's-
archery season.
Right.
What?
Not in archery
But you
season.
can dress up in camouflage with no orange.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
orange is only required for the muzzleloader season or rifle season.
Is there a reason that they don't want, I don't know anything about hunting, is there a reason that they don't want the hunters in bow season to be wearing orange because then they can't, then the
They
deer
can't
see
sneak up on
them?
the deer.
And the deer see them? Is that what it is?
It's because you gotta get the deer a lot closer.
Closer because you're using a bow.
I have a little deer.
You gotta get them within 20 yards if you're going.
I hear about that.
So we can't require them to wear orange, probably.
So how about?
But we could require walkers to,
You could.
Suggest it.
suggest.
George, I mean, Ralph has a
How about
better
a
recommendation.
Why don't we ask Craig to go back and come up with a plan for our next meeting that he thinks would be safe for the walkers as well as useful for 6 or 8 bow hunters? And let him define the plan
I like
with
that.
the bow hunters and see. Because
You wanna
next
do
meeting
that?
is, right, we've got time for the next meeting, right? If you give us a plan at the next meeting and we approve it or right? They're still
Be
planned at the end of
August.
September.
When does
We
the
could,
season
I'll
start?
probably get some calls prior to that, but I'll just tell them, hey, we don't know it, I'll take their name and number and call them back.
As a caveat to what you're saying, I think Craig is working with the library with the summer program.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. There's going to be a field trip to get the kids up to the reservoir.
What a great idea.
You know, and I think that's great
With the
because
rifles.
we're all used to turning on the tap and seeing water, but who knows where it comes from?
No, I think those projects are great. We just want to, if we're encouraging those projects, we want to make sure that we've done our part to make it, the signage available so people are aware of what's going on and
I'll
set
call
whatever
Larry,
requirements.
maybe you and I and Larry can sit and talk further.
Let's do that. And Craig, we'll get that in order so that we're in good shape for September.
Yeah, okay.
Right, especially if it's only a couple people, they can come up with some plan and they're gonna be there and have it to hunt anyway, and then you have walkers know what day they're not gonna be here. Right, because then it's gonna be more happen.
And we could also have a press release, because like you said,
Yeah.
we want to make sure that people are aware. So
People are aware.
I don't know, Russell, but there must be organizations we could give this information to that they can pass it on to their members or whomever, right?
Yes.
So let's do our part to make sure that whatever plan we come up with, that we get the information out there, not just in our minutes, but out to the appropriate people, because that's going to be half of it, to make sure that everybody stays safe.
As an example to what you were saying, or backup, the Nobley Forest just had it in the newspaper, they're hunting information for this year.
Right.
So that everybody knows this is what's gonna happen down in Nobley.
So if we post it, whatever the plan is, we put it on the website, Chris. We can even put it on the sign, the Borough sign, just indicating, hunting season information available, whatever. So that would be a good idea. I didn't realize that we didn't have all that information out there just on someplace. So I'm grateful that we.
Yeah, it was just kind of a free-for-all, and I didn't think it was, I thought we could do something a lot better than that.
I
It
think
seems
that
to
we
be
can.
growing, and that was my concern.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
As
All right.
far as the rest of Public Works, I didn't get a report out because I've been super busy, plus like I said, I've been away a little bit and I'm going to be away again for a few more days. But the paving is all finished up. Water project was on hold. They were having trouble getting materials, getting pipe. They got 4 loads of pipe now down at the treatment plant delivered. They're waiting on small fittings and those type of things. I think they're going to soon resume within the next week or two. I should hear more this week. The pool fence, Tom, you had mentioned that was repaired just last week, and that's pretty much mostly what's going on. I did a library presentation. I read a book to the kids down at the park last Wednesday. Christine from BIA put on a presentation, and Jen Nyman from the school. She's a science teacher. She raises the trout and does an environmental programs. The 3 of us gave a presentation on the water cycle and stormwater and where it all comes from and how to take care of it. And it was a lot of fun, and it's very well attended. So I was surprised all the people there.
And then you did the rain barrel event.
Yeah, and the
Now,
rain
the
barrel
rain barrel
event.
event.
I didn't make it to that, unfortunately, but I heard it went pretty well. I heard it went fairly well.
It went well.
I understand. So, and that was attended very well as well.
We will continue to get the word out about the rain barrel.
There's one with pool as well, when you free time.
Yeah, I have those. They did drop off a rain barrel for the.
We took it right over.
We took it over and
Took it over
and they were
for the
going to
meeting.
get a sticker to kind of advertise the
Just need to
program.
figure out a plan for it.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out the best place to put it. We could put it at the pool, but I'm afraid we don't know what we use the water for there.
The plants.
Plants.
Those plants
Yeah.
around the pool.
But I was thinking if I could talk to someone up here at Main Street. We have donated, Espen Shades have donated flowers again for the walkway, for those big pots. And the people, the ladies at the shop take care of the plants, so maybe they could get the water out of the rain barrels if I could figure out a way to work with one of the property owners that are side of us and maybe incorporate it into
And
one
you
of
can
those.
get somebody to paint it and make it all
Yeah.
decorative.
Yeah.
They'll donate more if they get advertisement.
Okay. Just food for thought, so I'm trying to figure out where the best spot would be.
We could involve the school in the painting of it. We could have
Well,
contests,
yes.
either
Yeah.
the grade school or the high school, or if we have multiple ones, if we decide to get another one for the pool or something else, we can do that. And actually, Craig, I want to ask you, remember that they had a contest up at the school with the water?
With the art, yeah.
Yes, it's kind of faded. Can we get that updated, or can we refurbish that, or what do we do with it?
I think that's a once and done shot. The girl won that. It's supposed to eventually wear away. The girl, whoever wins gets that package done in their hometown.
Do they ever do it again, or no?
They have the contest all the time, but
Okay.
we just happen to win that year.
Okay. All right. All right, the next was for John for the bills, but John's not here this time.
You missed me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tammy. 250, you're,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
America 250 PA, that's the name, america250pa.org. It's the 250th anniversary, the semi-quincentennial. What do they call this? Anyway, in 2026. This is a plan that was put into action in 2018. Our commissioners in Berks County just signed a resolution that Berks County will be part of this semi-quincentennial. And they're asking that each of the townships, boroughs, and cities also sign a like resolution and be included in this celebration. There are about 9-10 different platforms, contests, they're asking you to do programs, celebrations, et cetera, et cetera. It seems to me that Fleetwood's celebration in 2023 would feed right into this going right through 2026. So I would ask that we have a resolution, that we sign in and be involved in this semi-quincentennial, which is really not easy to say. And then we could develop some programs that we would like to see through. And like I said, I would say that our celebration in 2023 would be the platform, which we kind of lead from. One of the things that caught my attention on one of these programs is to nominate a service member. And I would love to see Fleetwood nominate somebody who has served heroically. They all serve heroically, but somebody of distinction that we would like to nominate to be recognized as part of this celebration. And I'll tell you who came to mind, and maybe you can help me. About 4 years ago, we had the most wonderful speaker at Memorial Day, and he was a Vietnam vet.
Aubrey Bergstresser. That's the name that came to mind as soon as you said him down.
Well, that's not who I was thinking of, but that's another name that would be worthy of recognition. But anyway,
Yeah.
so think of who you might want to recommend. Wouldn't it be wonderful if Fleetwood was represented?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We could send it to the Legion and see what recommendations they have.
That would be great.
I don't know if we have any World War II veterans left. Fleetwood.
Doesn't have to be World War II.
I understand that.
Yeah. No, the person I was thinking of, it was the gentleman, and he was so soft-spoken and from Vietnam. He served several rounds in.
Just as soon as you were talking about the light bulbs that Aubrey Bergstresser.
She gave a good talk this week.
So, but anyway, so if we would agree, I guess we need a motion.
We need a motion to pass the resolution. Sure. We have a motion by Mr. Meals to pass the resolution, so that I'm not going to say what that is, the 258th celebration. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Mr. Touch. Do I have any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? That motion carries. Tammy, you'll be spearheading that, or we can work together on?
Yep, we should.
Whatever.
Yep. And we have a mock resolution, which is what we can use to. So I'll get that typed up legitimately and we can sign it.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan. Anything else, Tim? No. Okay. Now we can move on to Mr. Rothenberger, but with him not being here, Chris, is he not on the
He's not
line,
on.
right? So then we have to hold those?
No, anybody can recommend paying bills.
I'll make a motion, we pay our bills.
So you're talking about the current month, the
Yeah.
July 12th?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Mr., so I have a motion by Mr. Merkel and a second by Mr. Touch to ratify to pay the July 12th bills. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Oh, thank you, sir. Hello there, is that Mr. Watkins?
Yes.
I thought it was Darth Vader for a moment.
Any delay, sir?
That's okay. Anybody opposed? Okay, that motion carries. How about ratifying the June 28th bills?
I'll make that motion.
Make a motion by Mr. Touch. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
I have a second by Mr. Meals. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that motion carries as well. Moving on to the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the June 2021 minutes?
Yes.
I have a motion by Mr. Touch. Do I have any further discussion? Sorry,
Who's the second?
second. Sorry, Mr. Meals? Sorry.
Moving down.
Here we go. It's getting tired.
Did you ever?
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed?
Aye.
I'll abstain. I wasn't here.
No problem. Okay, I think that's all of the business for tonight's meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
We have a motion by Mr. Touch. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Meals. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. All right, that motion carries.
Have a good vacation, Mr. Watkins.
Thanks, Mark. Have a good
Thank you,
night.
Mark.